Our mission matters across functions and sites. We collaborate together to make national security space a reality. Across orbits, missions, and services.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Do you want to make a difference? Join our team today.
Aloha, e komo mai. Welcome to the 25th Advanced Maui Optical Space Surveillance and Technologies Conference, presented by Maui Economic Development Board. Please welcome President and CEO Leslie Wilkins to the stage.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, for 25 years, the Amos Conference has been at the forefront of a quarter century of technical exchange and space domain awareness. We are honored to share this milestone with you. Aloha and welcome to the 2024 Amos Conference. You will hear more about those 25 years a bit later from an expert, Paul Kervin. But first, let us open the conference with our traditional moment of reflection and sense of place. Kahu, Alika, will be offering a customary Hawaiian invocation to set the tone for the week's discussions. For 2 decades, he has given us that honor, and we are grateful to have him with us today. Thank you, Reverend Alika.
You hold that for me. I'll hold it when it's time. Aloha kakayaka kako apau. Good morning to all of you. If you are returning, welcome back. And if you are coming to our island for the first time, welcome to Maui. Keaunani ne is an earlier chant that was composed by the late Mary Kawena Pukui, a Hawaiian linguist and scholar. It's said that she had children in mind when she composed Keaunani ne. So, above, the flight of birds, below, the flowers of the earth, in the uplands, the trees of the forest, in the sea, the fish of the sea. Come, see how beautiful the world. Iluna la iluna, na manu o ka lewa, ilalo la ilalo, na pua o ka honua, iuka la iuka, na ulula au, I kai la I kai, na ia o ka moana, ha ina mai ka puana, ahe nani ke au nei. He no no nakamali. We offer this in the name of the children. I have to preface my comments to you because Sandy and Leslie are very trusting, and it's been over two and a half decades that I've been here. And over the years, things have changed, and a lot has changed. And sometimes when I come up here, I get very anxious about what I'm about to say. So, receive it, yeah, as a balance to what's happening in our world. In 2005, the Maui Economic Development Board was commissioned by the Air Force Research Lab and the University of Hawaii to produce the film Haleakala, House of the Sun, A Sense of Place. The board hosted a premiere of the film that year, The purpose of the film was to educate and foster a sense of stewardship for the cultural significance and cultural diversity found on Haleakala. It was created not only for the employees and contractors of the Maui Space Surveillance Complex, but also for visitors and residents. Leslie will share with you in a moment on how you can access the film online. Some of you may remember during the construction of the Amos telescope in 1997, more than 100 tons of rocks were removed from the mountain, a practice that for Native Hawaiians is kapu, or forbidden. Corrective action was taken to return the rocks to the site, and the Air Force agreed to recognize the sacred nature of the stones to Native Hawaiians. Just 20 months ago, a diesel fuel pump for the backup generator failed at the Space Surveillance Complex on January 29, 2023. Over 700 gallons of diesel fuel spilled. It was reported that a lightning storm was the likely cause for the mechanical failure that allowed the diesel fuel to spill. Since that day, a cleanup and remediation plan has been underway. But as a result of that mishap and the other, many in the local community have expressed their concern. When it was announced recently that a proposal was being made by U.S. Space Force and the Air Force to build a new facility on top Haleakala that will house 7 new telescopes, it was not surprising that many for whom Maui is home opposed the project. And in early June of this year, the Maui County Council voted 9-0 to pass a resolution opposing what has been called Amos star telescopes. Kumuhula Hokulani Holt Padilla, a teacher of hula and a kapuna or elder, said of the mountain, "In the Hawaiian way of thinking, Haleakala is our ancestor. It is out of that thought that the care and stewardship of the mountain is significant." I am not sure how opposition to the construction of the new telescopes will play out in the days, months, and years ahead. The lease for the land at the summit expires in 2031. K.O.P. Raymond retired recently as a professor of Hawaiian Studies at the University of Hawaii, Maui College. He is also a kupuna or elder and the president of Kealahou or Haleakala. He said he has disagreed in the past that the military should even be on the mountain, but added, while they are there, they must be vigilant in the care and stewardship of the mountain. Some in the community feel that the lease should not be renewed. Brigadier General Anthony Mastelier, commander of the U.S. Space Forces in the Indo-Pacific region, has said of the spill itself, industry standard remediation processes and protocols are not sufficient for this sacred ground. We have to go above and beyond what would otherwise be deemed acceptable. He added, "We are going to continue to work to rebuild trust with all Hawaiians and their organizations so that we give the privilege to operate here, given the privilege we have to operate here, and we will do it safely and respectfully." In the months following the spill, Richard Chong, Executive Director for the Space Surveillance Squadron, has convened members of the Haleakala Community Engagement Group throughout the year to provide periodic updates on the remediation work that began immediately after the spill was discovered. Cultural advisors and archaeological monitors have been a part of the cleanup. I realize you are all here for a technologies conference, that you are concerned about space domain awareness when it comes to tracking satellites and space debris, and that you are aware of the need to maintain space capabilities related to cell phone service, financial transactions, GPS, and satellite television. You may want to suggest that conversations about the cultural significance of the mountain is best suited for another time. But if you come from countries including the US, where there are communities of indigenous and native peoples, you may understand that the land is viewed much more than real estate, much more than land to be exploited, whether it is leased, bought, or sold. Kumu Hokalani has pointed out that for Native Hawaiians, the aina, the land, the wind, the oceans, the rocks, we are all related. They are us, and we are them. The aina is not just dirt or rocks. It is my ancestor for as long as we have lived in this place. If we cannot understand that, then you cannot understand why the mountain is sacred. So I would say to you, like in that olea, as you look above, in your observation of the heavens, I would encourage you to also look at what is here, below, on the earth. Over the last 2.5 decades, the blessing we have offered as you began your time together has been with the lauki, the tea leaves. We do that once more. The tea leaves are a symbol to keep you safe in your coming and going, and the vai or water is a symbol to clear the way for your time together. And I would say this to all of you. May you grow in ike, knowledge, but also in na'auau, wisdom, and to know the difference between the two. So, this is my blessing for your time together. And I can't help myself, but I always see the electrical stuff there, and I always worry that everything's going to disappear from the screen. He pumaika I neau I ki ia aha halavai o Amos 2024. I loko I ka mea nana I hana. May you be blessed in your time together for this conference. In the name of the one who is the creator of us all. Aloha e, aloha e, aloha e. Aloha.
Thank you so much, Kahu. We appreciate your wisdom and your guidance. And message of responsibility to all of us. On that note, whether this is your first or your 20th visit to Maui, we encourage you to continue learning about the cultural significance of Haleakala. As Kahu mentioned, 20 years ago, AFRL and the University of Hawaii commissioned MEDB to produce an educational video and booklet used as an ongoing training orientation, both for personnel and visiting scientists who work atop Haleakala. We also use it for our interns that go on its sacred site. You can access them online at our Amos website or just scan the QR code above. The Amos Conference brings together a diverse audience to bridge technical gaps, foster international cooperation, and advance space sustainability. With this in mind, let's see who is joining us. With the conference selling out in record time, that was actually mid-June, we are pleased to welcome, are you ready for this number? 1,308 of you this year. Among the numerous sectors is a crucial convergence of government, industry, academia, and military, embodying the collaborative spirit needed to tackle the complex challenges of the space domain and to grasp the unprecedented opportunities ahead. With over half of you in the private sector, this trend remains reflective of the continuing commercialization of space and related technologies. From 25 countries, nearly 223 of you are joining us in person and online, including our neighbors in the Indo-Pacific region, as well as Europe, Central Asia, and South America. We are delighted to further support the international presence at Amos with a keynote address later by JAXA President Hiroshi Yamakawa. And as an SSA policy forum discussion on the current state and future of SSA in the Asia Pacific, both occurring tomorrow morning. With the continued growth of the Amos conference, we are providing a number of viewing options for times when the ballroom is at capacity. An overflow room is available downstairs during the morning program. The conference mobile app is also a great place to view, and our virtual platform provides flexibility to join us from wherever is the most convenient for you. And it is your link to ask presenters questions throughout the week. To provide a greater volume of technical content for the SDA community, the virtual poster hall is open. Each digital poster is accompanied by a brief video with presenters highlighting key findings in their work. Bringing further recognition to the poster presentations, we are excited to continue the lightning pitches during the poster sessions today and tomorrow as presenters vie for a series of awards, including what is called the Golden Ticket, which guarantees an oral presentation slot for Amos 2025. Now, in its third year, the Women and Allies in SDA event returns tonight to honor diversity within the space industry with networking, dancing, and dessert under the stars, featuring special remarks by Sandra Magnus, TRAC's chief engineer for the Office of Space Commerce. Tickets are limited, so please use the QR code on the screen to register or stop by our hospitality desk. Designed for young space enthusiasts and professionals, the 7th annual EMER-GEN welcomed 38 individuals, 14 who call Hawaii home, for a 2-day experience of professional development, mentorship, and networking. A joint initiative of Amos and the Space Generation Advisory Council, known as SGAC, members of the cohort will present program outcomes on Friday afternoon. They were very impressive. Our efforts to inspire the next generation continue as the noise goes up on Friday with 150 local middle schoolers and their STEM educators will descend upon the exhibit hall on Friday for hands-on learning activities with select exhibitions and discussions with NASA Deputy Administrator and astronaut Pam Melroy. Mahalo for helping us create engaging experiences for our island youth. While the students will be dominating the exhibit hall on Friday morning, just a warning, the exhibitors will be available next door and are featured in the virtual platform as well. Join us this afternoon and tomorrow for the poster and networking receptions, providing another opportunity to visit the exhibits. Finally, we want to thank our sponsors. Without them, we would not be able to offer the variety of programming and networking opportunities. Stream the conference worldwide or continue to archive the breadth of technical content for future advancements. Mahalo for enabling us to showcase Maui's prime positioning for space observation and in turn grow Maui's space economy. Starting with our Malama sponsors, we mahalo you for your support. At the Kupa'a level, we would like to thank Blue Halo, General Dynamics Mission Systems, High Technology Development Corporation, Space Foundation, and Space Map. At the Lokahi level, we have Astroscale, Booz Allen, CACI, General Atomics Electromagnetic Systems, Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Laboratory, Lockheed Martin, LSAS, Maxar Intelligence, Peraton, Raytheon, Secure World Foundation, and Slingshot Aerospace. At the La Lima level, Anduril, BAE Systems, EOS Solutions, Exo Analytic Solutions, Kratos, Leo Labs, Linquist, MITRE, Northrop Grumman, and Space Nav. Continuing with our Kakua sponsors, we have Comstock, KBR, L3 Harris, and SAIC. At the Polkella level, mahalo to the Boeing Company for their sustained investment in this conference as our top sponsor since 2006. In addition to the presenters, exhibitors, and sponsors, another critical component of the Amos conference is you, the attendees. Your feedback helps us shape the next conference, and we hope you will take a few minutes to share your thoughts with us. As we celebrate our 25th year, we recognize our long-term partner, the Wailea Beach Resort Marriott, for their ongoing commitment to the conference and genuine aloha and hospitality. This has been our home, and their staff has been our ohana, our family, for 22 out of the 25 years of this conference. We know their team is celebrating this milestone year alongside of us. We also welcome a very important partner of the Amos Conference and Maui's innovation sector, the U.S. Space Force and Air Force Research Laboratory. Lieutenant Philip Wagenbach, would you please stand and be acknowledged? We thank our conference technical chairs, Paul Kervin and Darren Nishimoto, who provide invaluable support and guidance as we strive for preeminent technical contributions that are relevant and critical to the Amos community. Would you please stand? And a special recognition and gratitude for a team that I get to work alongside every day that have significantly guided and grown this conference. First of all, our conference services director, Sandy Ryan, who has been here every year of those 25 years. Thank you, Sandy. And her team, Annette Lynch, Leilani Ventura, Lori Hauer, and our returning alum, Amber Hardwick. Please share your gratitude. They're amazing. They literally start working on this conference on Saturday after we close for next year. So on that note, it is my pleasure then to take a look back at 25 years of Amos with someone who can say they have had a very pivotal role in all 25 of those years. Please welcome Technical Chair Paul Kervin. Thank you, Paul, for all of that.
Aloha. Looking for the slides. When you registered for this conference, one of the things that we did was to ask you to send photographs of yourself back in 1999, 25 years ago. And while you are trying to figure out who some of those people are, especially there's some challenging ones like on the bottom right, I've got a few questions for you. How many of you are new to this conference? Show of hands. Never been here before. Welcome. How many of you been to the conference at least 10 times? Good, good. How many of you were born after that first conference? I'm sure there's a few of you in here, but maybe not admitting it. Well, the world is different these days in so many ways, and we certainly hope that the conference has reflected those changes. But why was the conference held on Maui? Well, when the conference originated back in 1999, it was an AFRL conference, Air Force Research Lab conference. And we had multiple telescopes at the top of the mountain. But most recently, at that time, we had just installed a 3.6 meter telescope, the EOS telescope, Advanced Electro-Optical System. And that was and still is the largest optical telescope in the Department of Defense. At the same time that the conference started, the Air Force Office of Scientific Research and the National Science Foundation formed a collaboration to allow civilian scientists to come and use the telescope at the top of the mountain. And this conference began as an opportunity to let the civilian community, as well as other military community, understand what the facilities were like at the top of the mountain. So that's why we have the conference on Maui. We had held conferences in the past, but they were mostly oriented towards users of the Air Force facilities. In this case, we wanted to make sure that people realized this was different than that. This was a conference where we were trying to bring folks in that had pretty impressive technical capabilities to the conference. Hence the name Amos Technical Conference. We wanted to make sure that everybody realized this is not specific to users of the telescope. The picture on the bottom left, for example, is the picture of the EOS telescope. Our keynote speaker for that original conference was Hawaiian Senator Daniel K. Inouye, who saw the Air Force facilities there as an opportunity not only as seeing Hawaii as a technical excellence, but also a path to economic diversification, because there are a few industries that people think of primarily when they think of Hawaii, and that's tourism or agriculture. For that first conference, we decided to hold a conference several months out, so we really didn't have an opportunity to go submit a call for papers. So on that first conference, every paper was solicited by us. We went to our friends and the folks that we had been working with and asked them to come up with a presentation for that conference. The interesting thing is that when we invited folks to that conference, those invitations were drawn from contractor holiday card lists and personal Rolodexes. Now, for those of you born in this current millennium, ask an older person what a Rolodex was. A few more photos from back then of folks you'd recognize. Yeah, you do, Darren. You do look the same. There have been a number of significant events throughout the years since then. I'm not going to talk to all those, but the one thing I will point out, for example, is that in 2006, the Air Force handed over control of the conference to the Maui Economic Development Board, who had been assisting us up until then, but now it became their total responsibility. They proceeded to build upon early success by evaluating and adding elements to the conference that bring value to the SSA community. MEDB could do things for the conference that the Air Force could not because of rules and regulations. And in the 18 years since, MEDB's intent is to continue to support the Air Force's mission on Maui, and which in turn supports MEDB's mission of economic diversification. We started the MEDB Policy Forum in 2012, SSA Policy Forum. We've later added short courses, and we now are working with the American Astronautical Society, and we publish some of the best papers from the conference in the peer-reviewed journal. We also began Space Exploration Day, which Leslie mentioned, which brings in local students to expose them to some of the work being done out here and hopefully inspiring some of them to continue working in STEM-related activities as well as future careers here. One of the things that we've had and still have is a lot of the local folks, when they get out of school, the only place they can find work is back on the mainland, and we like to have the ability to bring some of them here, and that's worked out pretty well for us. We added the EMER-GEN program, which you will hear about later on, and established Best Paper and Best Student Paper awards. And then we held our first virtual conference in 2020, because of COVID, of course, and since then we've held the conference as a hybrid, both virtual and in-person attendance. We've had some challenges over the years. In the second year that we took place here, we had a welcome reception, just like we did all these years and just like we did last night. The difference that year was that in the middle of the night, we were awakened by calls from our loved ones telling us to turn on our TVs. It was 9/11/2001. Needless to say, the conference did not open that morning. We had participants on site that had no way to leave, and we had hopeful participants that just couldn't get here. Show of hands, who was here for the conference in 2001? A few people. I'm sure you remember the fun we had at that point and trying to figure out where to go from there. I'll talk about those middle two a little bit later, but just last year, Maui experienced the devastating fires in Lahaina as well as upcountry. We worked closely with government officials and conference venue to determine whether or not we could even hold a conference here and what restrictions might be in place. The Amos community rallied, and over $6,000 was donated to our Amos for Maui fund. Despite these challenges, conference goes on. This is showing the attendance over the years. The top one is in-person attendance. The second one is international in-person attendance. And the last one is total abstracts received over the years. Now you notice there's a few dips in there. The first dip we had was due to sequestration. This was a point in time where the US government decided that nobody should go to conferences. It wasn't like you couldn't go in, but they certainly made it difficult to go to conferences, and I don't need to talk about the reason behind that, but the reality was that suddenly most of the government folks could no longer attend. And because the government folks weren't attending, many of the other folks, the contractors and so on, also didn't attend. But one of the things that we decided to do at that point was to have this, the SSA Policy Forum, and that still continues today. Of course, the second big dip was due to COVID, and you can see that drop was precipitous because couldn't hold it in person. And we've kind of recovered from that, and at this point, the numbers have continued to grow. And why is that? Well, location might make a difference in that. But more importantly, I think it's the subject matter that has improved and has evolved. So this is a chart of all the sessions that we've held year by year. And I guess I would point out at this point that this is your conference. I want to say that again. The abstracts we receive from you define our program. If we don't get enough abstracts to fill out a session, we just can't hold the session. That's what you see in sessions near like the atmospheric space weather, the purple one up there. Sometimes we have them and sometimes we don't, based on the number of abstracts we get in that particular topic. On the other hand, if we get sufficient abstracts on a topic, we may generate a new session, and sometimes that session has the legs to continue. Good examples are at the bottom, machine learning and cislunar. But let's take a closer look. The beginning of the conference, like I said, was an Air Force conference focused on Air Force assets as well as astronomers and space science folks, atmospherics folks, who would be funded by the National Science Foundation. Lasers were important at that point because lasers, which we don't do too much out here today, but if we have good abstracts, we'll present them. But at that point, lasers supported the astronomy community, the adaptive optics community, and the atmospherics and space weather community. So what we were presenting then reflects the folks that we were supporting at that time. Some of these topics have evolved over the years. For example, non-resolved object characterization has always been something that we've been looking at closely. Adaptive optics and imaging were pretty strong at the beginning, but in the years since then, particularly adaptive optics has become pretty routine for almost anybody who's serious about taking images of objects in space. And so over the years, that particular session evolved into a combination of adaptive optics and imaging. And these days, we've combined them all into satellite characterization. The other thing, for example, are the telescopes. Telescopes, originally we were talking about Eos, the big 3.6 meter telescope, small telescopes like the Raven class telescope. And those have evolved into we talk about everything in terms of optical systems until a few years ago, and now it looks like it doesn't show up on the slide, but we've included, we just call it systems, which opens up the field for both radar and passive RF. Every once in a while, there will be enough abstracts on a topic that show up that we decide, okay, these are important, this is an important topic to cover, so we will have a special session just for that topic. And you can see just a few examples are the Cosmos-Iridium collision back in 2009 and sensor tasking both in 2017 and 2021. All as a result of the abstracts that you folks send in on topics that you're familiar with and you're comfortable with and are exciting. We've also added some topics along the way. Astrodynamics showed up, conjunction and proximity operations, cislunar SSA, machine learning. I expect that these are going to be there for some time, and I'm not sure what comes next. So in closing, what I'd like to say, first of all, is mahalo to our Amos Ohana and to many more Amos friends to come. I will say I couldn't have predicted 25 years ago where we would be today. I never would have predicted this. Similarly, I can't predict what's going to happen in 5 or 10 years from now. But I can say that I confidently look forward to the new ideas and concepts and technologies in SDA, and to showcase those at these meetings and learn in the process. So what I'd like to do is thank you all for making the conference what it is today. Aloha.